Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Chaos Protocol. I am so freaking excited to see all of your digital, non-existent faces in the chat of Transplanar RPG. If you don't know already who and what the heck this is, we are Transplanar, an all transgender, people of color-led, dark fantasy actual play channel telling stories set in an original, non-colonial, anti-orientalist multiverse. This means that we stand against genocide and ethnic cleansing and support all oppressed peoples of this world struggling against injustice, imperialism, and colonization. We must use our voices to build solidarity and fight for the worlds that we wish to see. So to that end, free Sudan, free DRC, free Palestine, free Venezuela, free Iran, and fuck US imperialism. As a channel created in Minneapolis, Minnesota, we stand in solidarity with our neighbors protesting in the streets and beyond. Abolish ICE until there is nothing left, abolish the Imperial Project until there is nothing left, and free all oppressed peoples of this world. Thank you. And thank you all so much for showing up to support our story. It's time to get chaotic. If you are watching this right now, you are witnessing the live recordings of Arc 4 episodes 13 and 14. We are currently co-streaming this on Twitch and YouTube Live at Transplanar RPG on both platforms, and all of our VODs will be hosted on our YouTube channel afterward for your viewing pleasure before being uploaded to Vimeo and the Internet Archive. But first, please allow me to introduce my cast for the evening. Oh, it's been so long! Starting with our very own Valiant Lovewinds, Dorian.
Hello, everybody. My name is Valiant Lovewinds Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. You can find me all across the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Otso Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I just set you on. And tonight, I have the distinct pleasure of playing Seir. Uses he, they pronouns. My beloved twin brother, the chosen one. And I'm gonna pass it on over to a mortal profane. How you doing, Pop Pop?
I'm doing fantastic. Hello, everyone. I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns, and I am back tonight playing Mr. Zanin Ish, who uses he, him pronouns. I'm gonna bounce on over to my singular, beautiful, perfect chronologist healer daughter, Lumira. Sam.
Hello, everyone. I am Sam Star. I use she, they, and the occasional they pronouns, and I am everything that Kai just listed and then some. Lumira, who uses she, her pronouns. What's going on, boss?
It's me, boss. So to start off our announcements, a massive thank you to our two major sponsors for Arc 4, Hero Forge and the Working Families Party. Hero Forge is a website where you can design and print your very own custom miniatures, just like this one. I wonder who this is. Someone looming over Kesseki, perhaps? Also, Hero Forge now offers 3D printed custom dice. You can put anything from Hero Forge that you might make in their website into the clear material of the die and still get a perfectly weighted chunk of math rock. I wonder if anyone can make the Seed of Annihilation in Hero Forge and print it. In a die, that'd be pretty cool. Visit Hero Forge today at bit.ly/transforge. As for the Working Families Party, they are a progressive third party in the US building a multiracial coalition of working class people to make our communities a better place to live for everyone. You can take an action with me right now to effect change by signing their petition to break up big media companies and join their mailing list at bit.ly/WFPtrans. I signed that way back at the beginning of this season and I have not looked back. It's great. Their mailing list is excellent. I highly personally recommend it if you're looking for ways to get involved in your local chapter and your local community. Go check them out. And finally, a big ol' thank you to Chepeku for letting us use their scenes for this arc, as well as a thank you to Explain Trade and Frivolous Bear Studios for being our channel-wide sponsors. Over to you, Val.
Hey, fans of Transplanar, you'll be pleased to discover that we have a merch store full of apparel, home goods, and accessories that have been gorgeously designed by, we all know how to do this by now, by my husband.
Our husband.
Very good, very good, very good. I love the Pavlovian response that I hope to create in all of you. And you can go and purchase all of those wonderful designs over on TransplanarRPG.shop or using !point merch in chat. We're also really excited to share that we have partnered with Die Hard Dice. Hold on, I have them with me. We have partnered with Die Hard Dice to bring our custom dice set themed after each member of Strike Team Nova. Head over to bit.ly/transdhd or use !point DHD in chat to nab your very own set of chaos dice. Handing it over to you, Kai.
Another huge thank you to our Patreon precepts for supporting our show. Thank you to Azra, Brooke, The Bow System, Elvira, Mainman13, Mark J, Necessity, Robert Burke, Rose, Sergeant Danes, Spectra, Spencer, Taylor, Travis L, and Zoe. Join their illustrious ranks and help us smash our member milestones at patreon.com/transplanarrpg. All right, Sam. It's been so long. Please fill my beautiful ears.
Man, I've missed this. We all know it's our favorite part of our intro. Last time on the Chaos Protocol. Strike Team Nova searches an abandoned radio tower and finds the remnant of a stranger's life. Operator 19 loved bird watching, cheap beer, and good music. They held out for as long as they could, transmitting alerts for anyone who might be left to hear them. Then, Nova discovers the source of the radio power. An oracle, transmitting an SOS and the locations of the 3 graves of Strike Team Sunrise. And that's what you missed last time. Use ! recap in chat to read our full written recap document. And now to Connie for some self-care tips.
Yes, thank you for that, Sam. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. So content warnings for this session might include fantasy violence, survival and scarcity, environmental collapse, apocalypse, grief, death of loved ones, killing, blood, body horror, monsters, complex relationships, and references to classism and the loss of children. If you're in the Twitch chat, you can use ! CW at any time to get a look at our content warnings. If you are in the YouTube live, our lovely mods will be copy and pasting these content warnings in the chat very frequently. And now, for the title of tonight's episode, it is The Tomb is Bare, the Soul is Hollow. From Waiting for the Moon to Burn by Connie Chong. And with that out of the way, let's begin. Isolation has many names. Silence, loneliness, hunger, a radio that won't talk back, a book you have read 1,000 times, a family you will never see again, a home you can never return to. Your only companion is the nothingness that surrounds you, the empty space that defines your isolation, the void within, the void without. It watches you toil. It watches you suffer. It watches you die. And it waits for you. The shepherd of the end. The gravestones have no names and no inscriptions. A fine layer of dust covers each grizzled marker, disturbed only by the hollow wind wheezing through dead branches. The marker on the left is tall and broad, driven deep into the earth like a steady bulwark. The one in the middle has a crack at its base where a few tattered wisps of old cobweb still cling. The one on the right is the smallest of the 3, plain and unadorned, a story forever untold. What one emotion emerges across your face as you take in these 3 graves? Let's start with Zynon.
It is a cacophony of feeling for Zynon Esh, but on the outside, a single tear in the shape of revelation.
As the tear brims on the edge of your eye, trembles but does not quite fall yet, you pan across you to find Lumira.
Lumira's showing a myriad of emotions, but I think the one that's most prevalent is sorrow. What it's like to live a life that's not remembered, No inscription on a gravestone, just lost. Lost to memory, lost to time.
This loss that you see without resonates deep somewhere within your soul. And we pan across your face, Lumira, to find Sayur.
A horror that he has not felt since leaving a chosen one's long sword buried in the loam of the wild sea.
Sayur, as the horror begins to rise inside you, there is a rustling, crinkling noise, like dry leaves igniting. Are you back in the wild sea? Is Arreganus here? No. The noise is coming from the bandolier across your left shoulder. The radio, the broken radio, crackling to life. Zynon and Lumira, you hear it too, this time. A burst of static punctuating the silence, but only Sayur can discern the garbled words that swim through the noise. Sayur, you hear a familiar voice, deep and sturdy like an ancient stone. Artemis. Her tone is familiar, and the words are too, only the details are different. A mission briefing, being given to a strike team that is not your own. A strike team charged with bringing a plane of existence that is neon and green and full of life back into the tapestry of the journey, back onto the path of fate's will. Another voice swims through the static, a chorus of voices, this time 4 in total, none of them familiar to you, making noises of affirmation, assent, excitement, and then wind. A howling gust of wind screaming through the radio, so loud and furious that the signal peaks and cuts out. The wind dies down. A chorus of voices rises again, but lesser in number. 3 now, singing a song with flourishes that you do not know, but whose underlying melody is familiar to you. This is a death song. A syndicate death song, one you have participated in only once before, in the Hall of Heroes, underneath your sister's shadow. And then there is a snarling, a chittering, a screaming of static, a shout of pain and anguish. A phrase cuts through the interference. This is not how the world should die. That even the others hear, Zynon and Lumira and Yinghe. And then there is the song again, the death song, sung by 2 voices. One of the voices drops out, turns low and pained, mutates into groans. And now a quiet, a horrible quiet, amidst the static and groaning, snatches of intimate words that you should not be hearing. An oath uttered. And the last thing you hear is the song again, led by a single voice. Static. And then nothing.
Tiny threats of tears line Sayur's eyes. They hurt and burn like the cudgel that he puts on his eye, like underneath his eyelids every morning. And he finds himself turning the knob, the frequency, finding more, anything more. What about the 4th? What about the 4th? What about the 4th? All Sayur sees are 3 graves and none with his name on it. And there is a crippling realization. The voice of Artemis, which was once a comfort, once an anchor, is a void, an abyss, a reflection of the choice he made with Nova, that they all made. She's not going to save us. No one is going to save us. No one is going to save us. And Sayre hears that ringing and pounding in their head again and again and again as the gaze that holds those 3 stone memorials shake in his skull. Shake in his skull. And he is silent for a long while and still watching these graves in a horror that he has not touched. Not even since her.
Zynon, Lumira, though it had mostly just been static that crackled out of this broken radio, you did catch that one phrase, that one distinct line. This is not how the world should die. And you see a look of abject horror, shock reeling on Sayre's face. A look you've seen a few times now, in the Wild Sea, in the City of Heaven, even grasping for it in Inferno. You know that there is more that your companion has heard. How do you respond?
Zynon hears the words, and it echoes into the stars. No. Into a trail of blood. No. Into a truth that he already knows. Kesseki was supposed to live. And he looks to Sayre concerned, but also curious. This radio was a promise once of learning more. It showed us the direction before, or at least it showed us what to fear. You alright?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lumira stands stock still. Those words keep repeating over and over and over in her head. This isn't the way this was supposed to die. This isn't how this was supposed to go. This is so far out of fate's will. And then those words start morphing back into her conversation with fate. How even she said, sometimes she's not enough. Is this one of those times? And I think that grief, that realization sinks in her stomach like throwing a boulder into a still river.
Lumira, in the Prime Oracle Chamber, there had been something so immensely overwhelming about being the direct and unwavering object of attention for the second precept. That those words, "I am not enough," had stuck in you, but yes, now it sinks to the bottom, to the top of your consciousness, this realization buoyed by an emotion that now, upon reflection in memory, now you reaching backward in time, can finally see. Not just within you, but also on Fate's face at the time. The grief of it. The sadness, the sorrow of not being enough. And in front of your eyes now, the 3 graves, the consequences that come of this shortcoming.
Did you hear something?
I heard them die.
Them?
The strike team.
Sunrise?
Yes.
What about the 4th?
He didn't say. Wherever they are is far beyond Doom's eyes now. But the sun sets here for sunrise.
Zynon looks at that void, that seed in the sky, and for the first time, it feels different.
I think I want to just say a few words for sunrise then. If they have no one left and nothing left, and of course they're not going to hear them. It feels a little fruitless, but it feels right, you know? And Yinghe steps forward, a gust of wind billowing around them, causing the veil around their face to part briefly, and we see that their moonlit silver eyes are wet and glistening, but no tears yet fall. And intertwining their fingers together like threads of fate that have long forsaken them, they take a breath, gather themselves, and say to the wind, to the dust, to sunrise, I lost count of how many graves there were, marked and unmarked, back on Zhiguang, because of the war, the endless wars. I feel ashamed about it now, but I looted some of those graves to stay alive. And I told stories about who the people were based on the things I found. A dagger here, a ribbon there, a pouch full of dried sweets packed by a lover, a sibling, a parent, maybe even a child. I told stories to myself about where they came from, what they were doing, what they hoped to do and couldn't. So, I suppose I'll do the same now. I don't know who the 3 of you were, but I do know that you were from the Syndicate, which means you must have been here for a reason, which means you must have been heroes, like I always thought I couldn't be. Like being with Nova now, I feel like maybe I can be. So I just want to say thank you. And I'm very sorry that this is how your adventures had to come to an end. I'll remember all of you. Yingke bows their head and steps back into the line of the three of you. How do each of you pay your respects to Sunrise?
Lumira will drop to her knees, sit on the haunches of her calves, and bow her head, reach out to individually make contact with each grave, and mumbles under her breath a prayer she can't really remember her remembering or even knowing, or where she even got it from. Most of it is in jumbled bits and pieces, some words in another dialect that she can't really make out. And she'll raise back up and, from watching Zynon many a times, when she stands to her full height, she will take her hat off, place it across her chest, before adjusting it back on her head and standing back in line with Nova.
I think beside Lumira, Zynon looks to the graves. He's counting the same 1, 2, 3 that Sayer is counting, that Lumira is counting, an invisible force that is so omnipresent. But for Zynon, he also hears the sound of 1,000 voices, the entirety of Kesseki. He hears the clamor of the cafeteria at Trans. He hears the sound of people settling before LSSG. And all of that ringing clear in his ears is the voice of the patron saint of mortals. Cosmic balance. There's some debt. It isn't just gratitude that these strike team members were here to save a Kesseki that had wandered so far from the journey. They're the reason he is here now. Whatever brought you here. Thank you. Zynon walks up to each of them. To Ija, no. To Cherry. He stands there. The next, he stops, bows his head deeper, feels a song echo through his soul. And the last one, like stepping into a pit. Zynon Esh thanks the ghosts, holds them close, and in perfect harmony with Lumira, steps back, dusts off his hat, puts it on his head. Thank you, Sunrise.
The air is so still. It's a wonder you could see him breathe at all. He's so still. All he can see are 3 graves. And all he can wonder morbidly is whose stone belongs to whom in Nova. And how his is not amongst them. How he sees the shadow, this omnipresent 4th member, this haunt upon this place, and feels a distant kinship to someone he will not see. And Sayre just closes the distance some, not enough for a true paying of respect, because then he'll have to touch it. Then he'll have to see that it is real and think that it is real. And if he thought for any moment longer that these graves could be Nova's, he will be torn asunder where he stood. And all Sayre can do is stare and mutter underneath his breath, I won't let what happened happen again. It won't happen again. The sun won't set on us yet. Not yet. I'm sorry. And he doesn't close the distance. They stand there, hand gripped tight onto patience. Come, Nova. There's nothing for us here.
Okay. Well, where should we go next? Zion, you found a map in the broadcast room, right?
I certainly did. How would you all like to go find Haruna Valley with me? My home.
Lead the way.
And I would love that. And with that, strike Team Nova. The 4 of you turn from the graves and walk into the unknown. Zainan's map depicts a Kesseki that no longer exists. Undulating hills of green and purple, steel white mountains, lush bodies of water bathed in jeweled tones of turquoise and pink and scarlet. But now, the only color that remains is gray. Haruna Valley looms to the south, several prefectures away. Back when there was water, it was separated from your current location by the roaring waves and endless depths of the vast Kagayaku Ocean, which eventually bled into the more temperate and mild currents of the Hoshizora Sea. Although sailing would have been possible, it would be safer to take the Isthmus of Chisare that connects the prefecture of Okinai to the north with the prefecture of Hose-Kote to the south. As for Haruna Valley itself, it knows nothing of the sea. Why would it? It is nestled in the northern reaches of the Tani prefecture and surrounded by land on all sides, including the jagged peaks of the Centipede, the mighty mountain range in southern Kesseki, whose blue-skied lowlands and raptor-rich highlands are home to many diverse communities, including Haruna Valley. So yes, back when there was water, the best way to reach Haruna Valley from the mountains of northern Hofu was to travel to Okinai by goat or perhaps elk, take the sky bridge across the Isthmus of Chisare, ride an interprefectural maglev shuttle from Hosekote to Tani, and finally hike up to the valley on foot. Or, if you still have the coin and ivory to spare at that point, hire a raptor driver. But there is no water. Not anymore. Which means that the fastest way to reach Haruna Valley is a straight line. Tower 19 is surrounded by steep, mountainous terrain. Even when the soil was rich and firm, traversing this area would have been a difficult challenge for all but the most experienced hikers. Now, the earth is so eroded and loose, and the silt is so dry that every step is an opportunity for your footing to collapse underneath you. Natural anchors are few and far between, the hollow husks of trees that look like they would crumble at the lightest touch, old boulders that wobble beneath your weight like loose teeth. Still, you find a way forward, and you find a way down. As you hike southward through this mountain, going downhill the entire time, hours stretch into days. And over time, travel becomes a routine. Wake early, pack up camp, walk for as long as your feet can bear, taking as few breaks as your bodies can endure. Find shelter, make camp, take watch, wake early, repeat. Eventually, the days stretch into an entire week. 1 week of hiking through this mountain. 1 week of watching where you step so you don't roll your ankle or tumble downhill or lose what precious resources you have left. 1 week of breathing in the dust, sleeping in the cold, seeing no one but each other and yourselves. Over the course of this week, what do each of you turn over and over inside your minds? And how does it come out in the way that you behave? Let's start with Zynon.
Zynon is somehow both more quiet than normal and so much wider open. With the map in hand, he offhandedly comments on landmarks that are familiar to him, the few places that he recognizes the names of. He talks about with love or with frustration even, some of them, roads not as well maintained for raptors and the sky bridge that he knew rumors of but never saw himself. But the thing that he turns over as he says these things so openly is the faces of Yinghe, of Lumira, of Seir, sitting next to Singh at an LSSG meeting and telling them all of this from his heart. In a memory that doesn't exist, but it does. It does. And every time he thinks about it for longer than a moment, he also feels a cold hand like the moon braiding in something impossible. And he has to sometimes return to the dirt and the dust beneath his feet, both because it is perilous to walk in this region, but also it keeps him feeling real, feeling tethered. And as he walks, he looks to stars that he can't see. And he can feel something growing deep inside of him that isn't just this revelation. It's hope. He's walking home.
Zynon, as you walk through this dusty mountain, passing the corpses of trees and the loose places where boulders still cling onto eroded soil, there's a routine that comes as each day breaks and each night falls of talking about food, water, survival. And you, too, feel the gnawing of hunger in your belly and the parched dryness of thirst on your tongue. But this memory that does exist, this memory that doesn't exist, comes with it a knowledge, a newfound knowledge gifted to you by that cold hand braiding it into your soul. In this moment, do you untangle that knowledge, push its boundaries, or do you let that sit for now in the back of your mind?
He looks it over. It is not idle. It is like someone learning how to braid for the first time by looking at someone's intricate and beautiful braid. He follows the footsteps, the touch, the blood-soaked presence, omnipresence of Artemis as he thinks it over and walks through spring, summer, fall, and winter over and over and over again. He just rolls it around, learning, like reading a book again, just for comprehension.
Zynon, this week passes for you like that, then, pointing out familiar landmarks on the map and around you, places you never got to visit, but now that you see in the desiccated echoes of what they are now. Feeling the braid of this knowledge tangled inside of you, working through the seasons of who you are, were, could be. We pan across you to find Lumira. Over the course of this week, Lumira, what are you turning over inside your mind, and how does it come out in the way that you behave?
Lumira is drowsy. Probably a bit more exhausted than I think anyone has ever literally seen her, and that's saying something because she went weeks without sleeping just a few months prior. And outside of just looking exhausted, she looks anxious, on edge a bit. She's a bit antsy, a little jittery. Head is consistently on a swivel. She keeps checking each of her strike team members, doing once, twice, thrice glance overs. Any sign of pain, anything that seems off. Sinan is off. Sayir is off, and so is Yinghe. After a while, she kind of gets exhausted of sitting on her hands. Literally. Her eyes keep glancing over Zynon's rifle. Before one day, she just walks up to him, completely determined, holding your rifle in her hands. I need you to teach me how to shoot. It's not enough right now. I'm not enough. None of us are enough.
Zynon, who I think had sat it down as he was, cleaning up camp, just kind of looks at Lumira holding this rifle, this shield, this emblem of who Zynon thought he was. All right. Not because you're not enough, but it might be useful.
We don't know what we're against. Anything goes out here, and You saw those graves? That could be us. I refuse to let it.
All right.
Okay.
And he steps closer and just holds his hands out.
She'll put the rifle into your hand.
First of all. And he opens the bolt, and the bullet that's loaded in there comes out. And he hands her back the gun. He holds it out to her. This. And he stands in the ghost of his emo. This is a shield.
Shield. Got it.
All right. Take it carefully. Never point this at anything you don't plan on shooting.
Yes, sir.
And he will show her. He'll walk her through the parts of the rifle, and he is dazzled to show her an exquisite scope that he mounts carefully from his hip on it that was gifted to him in what feels like a lifetime ago. And he smiles as he mounts it on the gun. You know how this thing works.
It's useful. Yeah?
It's very useful. You see that spot way over there? That ridge. And he challenges her to spot before he shows her how to shoot. He breaks down all of the different disciplines of where to put it on her shoulder, how to safely keep it there while she's shooting and not let it kick her on her ass. He takes time and he walks in this beautiful path. And he looks down and he sees the footprints of an 11-year-old standing next to Lumira. And he smiles the whole time, right into Lumira's eyes. In a way that's so warm, Lumira, I don't think you've ever seen him smile like this, even when he was trying to teach you how to cook on the wild sea.
I think Lumira is so into making sure that she's holding it correctly. Her finger's not on the trigger. You taught her that much. As she's trying to get used to the weight of it. But she feels that bright, burning smile right in the back. She doesn't acknowledge it, but she does grin and looks down the barrel one more time. It's kind of crooked on her shoulder a little bit.
And he tips it for her.
Over the course of this week, Zynon, you eventually graduate Lumira from simply handling and holding and sighting through the gun to her very first attempt to shooting an actual live round. And Lumira, I want you to tell me, does it come naturally to you?
Hell no. Not even close. I think she tried to prep herself, but she was not ready for that kickback. I think that thing still knocked her shoulder real hard. And she kind of, when it goes off a bit, like, wherever the bullet went is way wide of wherever the target itself was supposed to be. And she goes, hold on. Let me try again. I can do it again. And kind of resettles herself. And the firing still kind of jeers her a bit. And it's not as far wide off, but it's also nowhere close to the target whatsoever.
You gotta loosen up. You gotta shake it out. And he walks up to her and just rocks her shoulders back and forth. kind of shakes her just a little. You can't overmanage it. You got this.
Don't overmanage. And surgical like precision, the way you typically see her when she's in the zone. She'll finally pull the trigger. I think this time she's a little used to it. It hits the target, far from the target, but at least it was the target. And she like looks back so proud, like, good.
Zynon is hooting and grinning from ear to ear. Good.
And she'll nod her head with her hat.
And now we pan over the course of this week to find Sayir. Sayir, what are you turning over inside your mind, and how does it come out in the way you behave?
She will not save us. No one is going to save us. The only thing Sayre can think about burned into his retinas is the shape of all of those graves. And Sayre is never still. This whole week, I don't think Nova has seen him sit. He is moving. Where he is not scouting ahead at which rocks or boulders are looser than the other. If not scouting the perimeter, scavenging for food, materials, fuel. If it is not digging trap ditches for what may or may not come, if it isn't lining the perimeter, if it isn't him scouting, if it isn't him hunting, if it isn't him protecting, then it doesn't matter. There's no love or compassion or connection here. Sayre has no care for what this does to him. His tears are faded out, fading and fading and fading, unkempt. The cudgel he wears smeared, dark circles around his eyes. And all Sayre can think about is keeping Nova alive by any means necessary.
Sayre, throughout this week, as you continue to move, to not rest, to push yourself physically in order to keep the others safe, you will notice on your peripheral vision and also... Okay, quick pause. I think Val may be cut out. Okay. Network issues. Okay. Maybe we can go to a quick... Oh no! Val's coming back. I see the thing... I'm seeing the not visible
Hello.
unknown user entering the call. Hi, Val. Welcome back. Can you hear and see us? Okay. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Val, I don't know if you can hear us, but oh, okay, he's gone. That's fine. All right, cool. I'm just gonna, we'll table Sayre for a second, and we'll go back to Lumira and Zynon in this moment. Zynon.
Oh, go.
So I actually want to set a different scene, actually, for you in particular, actually, Zynon. Zynon. As the first week continues to unfold, actually as the first week starts to reach the final few days, you're a couple of days into travel at this point, and that knowledge that you've been turning over in your head, you've been feeling in the depths of your soul, just mulling on for now, it really starts to come to the forefront of your mind. This profanity within you. And you feel the hunger, and you taste the thirst, and the dull ache of pain in your leg from the monster of Hane Bay still stings. But there's something else. Your body, this body of yours. What can it do? What is it capable of, really? Given the realization, the revelation you had back at Sunrise's graves, back at the graves of your own family. And I want you to tell me the time of day it is when you first venture your curiosity.
I think it is second twilight. As he looks down and wonders.
In second twilight, the light is not fully gone from the sky yet. Again. And penetrating the thick film of dust, this gray haze that lingers around these dusty slopes all around you, is a kind of purplish, grayish illumination, an echo of color, a memory of saturation. And as you're looking down at your body, this is one of the few breaks that Nova allows itself along your travel. You can hear the rest of your party on the mountainside slope near you, just taking a breather. Low tones of Yinghe and Lumira conversing about one topic or another. Looking down at your body. And then you hear Yinghe pipe up a voice, a reminder of break for rations for the day, as they start to go around and give out each person's apportioned piece of food. And then they come up to you, and they hold out what tiny little bit of a jarred mollusk remains. With a small, tight smile that doesn't quite reach their eyes still.
Zynon accepts Yinghe's distance and the mollusk, the little bit of it. But normally, as long as we've been on Kesseki, and even before, food goes down in front of him, he eats it promptly. It'd be terrible for the dust to ruin a perfectly good meal. But he accepts it. Thank you. And
You're
then
welcome.
he waits just long enough for Yinghe to move on before he goes towards Lumira. I noticed you weren't feeling too bright, and I worry that our tight rationing is taking its toll on you. I'm all right if you want this.
No, it's okay.
I mean it, I'm all right.
No, we all need our sustenance. It's fine. And she tightens the tourniquet that is on her thigh and grunts and winces a bit before tucking the sides back in. Oh, it's cool. I appreciate it though. Thank you.
I need you to have more strength. I understand, but if any of us need medical help, I need you to be the strongest.
I have survived off
Just this once. Just this once.
Lumira will hold her hand out begrudgingly.
He gives it to her.
and she'll make a show of eating it.
And he smiles, and there is not a sadness or debt in this giving. You feel that there is lightness. It is truly a gift he is happy to give.
Thank you.
And inside, he wonders, could have he been doing this the whole time since we got here? I guess we'll find out.
And Zynon, as the days go on, there are other things that you've been doing this whole time that you haven't questioned, but now you question. The dust that suffuses the air all around you, the dust that you guard from your lungs with your respirator, that you help guard the lungs of others, of your strike team, with their cloths and their masks, and the involuntary reflex of breathing itself. But now that you start to question, it doesn't feel so involuntary anymore.
And again, that heavy stone, the respirator. He holds on to it for now, but he hears the cough that Lumira had when we found her in the storm. The cough that Dom had. And the bar. The cough that Doxa had. And he coughs when he thinks too long about it. But then he stops coughing. And his face goes a little cold. Maybe he didn't need to be coughing. Maybe he didn't need to be breathing, at least not all the time. But it's so comforting. And he takes a deep breath in. And it's vile. But it is the air of home.
And Zynon, this knowledge begins to solidify in you that these mortal and necessary reflexes for living beings of eating, of drinking, of breathing, of sleeping even, well, they are necessary reflexes for those beings that are living. But you, the coldness of your face, the flush of hunger that feels dull, that doesn't stop you from moving. They feel less like necessary reflexes and more like comforting memories you choose to hold close. For you know the truth of who you are, what happened to you now, and the truth of the liminal space between life and death that your body lives in, and an echo and a memory of Inferno, of the blood-craving undead, and how that felt so much like home in a way you hadn't realized until now. And now Sayur. So, quick note for Mark, because I'm not sure when Val cut out for the recording. Just this is above the table for myself. I'm just going to prompt you back in with kind of the same prompt I had. So we'll just take that, Val, from the top, if that's cool with you.
Cool. Let me remember what on earth I said.
Okay, yeah. This is just for myself as well as a facilitator.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Sayur, over the course of this week, what do you turn over and over inside of your mind? And how does it come out in the way that you behave?
She will not save us. No one will save us. The only thing that Sayer has been chewing on this past week has been the visage of those graves burned into his retinas. And this cuts him so deeply, and the only balm that can soothe it is if he keeps moving, walking, checking every loose boulder or rock, securing every rope, setting up the camp first, breaking it down first, securing the perimeter, hunting, gathering, scavenging for scraps, sharpnels of wood for fuel. There's no love or compassion for Sayer's self here. Nothing. There's no room for that. No kindness for that. No connection to Nova. He is distant. He is quiet. And he is doing everything. Preempting every desire, every need that Nova could possibly want.
Sayer, throughout this week, we see you never in a state of rest. You are constantly in motion, pushing yourself physically, mentally, in order to keep the others safe, in order to make sure that the rest of Nova is all right, as their bulwark, as their shield. And there's something you notice on your peripheral vision throughout this week, and that you can feel on the nape of your neck. You can sense her is Yinghua looking at you. And you can see a look of expectation, a look of disappointment, a look of hope. And there are moments when Yinghua seems like they want to say something to you, like they want to approach you, want to broach some sort of topic, but then you brusquely walk on to check the perimeter again, or you go out to scavenge more, or you turn to crack branches off of a desiccated tree for more firewood. And Yinghua, for once, bites their lip, swallows their words, and doesn't approach you first. And Sayer, ever present, ever moving, ever aware, you keep an eye on the rest of your teammates. You notice Yinghua's behavior. You notice Lumira's behavior, the shooting. You've taken note of the practice with the rifle that your healer has been making. And you also notice Zynon. Rather odd behavior from Zynon that you see from the corners of your eyes. A strange sudden stillness of his chest. And then a deep breath in and a cough. But the stillness went on for too long. And the cough was a reflex, yes, but was there something almost performative about it? How do you respond to your observations?
I don't sleep anymore. I am afraid of hearing Zynon gasp for air. There are moments in the night where I move from stillness and I hover just above Zynon just so I could see him move or breathe. He feels less warm. Lumira is tired. Whatever affliction? Whatever state that is happening with Zynon, that is not an additional thing that Lumira needs on her plate. And Yinghe, well, Yinghe, we don't have to talk about all that now, do we? Ed Sayer just sits up in his bedroll, watching the sleeping, breathing faces of his comrades. And they linger on Zynon for longer than anyone should.
And Sayer, you do not approach Zynon about it. And Zynon, you do not approach Sayer about it. And Nova, as we pass the 1 week mark, there is some survival we must do. There is a force of extinction present, after all. So first, I need all of you to make me a group survival check. This is a regular survival check for each of you, regular modifiers, and each individual success on your roll will count as 1 resource that you harvest over the course of the week. And you get to decide if this resource goes toward provisions, energy, or protection. So, just as a reminder, because it's been a while since we played this game, this is a D20 pool game, and we are looking for as many results that are equal to or under your survival score. And the number of D20s you get to roll depend on the circumstances. So, you have no situational advantage this week. None of you can count as giving assistance to or receiving assistance from any of you, as this is individual rolls. But you can say if you're harnessing a relevant tool or power. So let's start with Lumira, if there is a particular tool or power that you're invoking in this moment over the course of the week to gather resources.
Unless you count me being very smart, then no.
I'm sorry. You are very smart, but I'm sorry. I don't think that counts. That is just going to be 1d20.
I'm just kidding.
Actually, you look very tired, Lumira. Lumira is exhausted.
I would roll
cannot
with 0
overstate this.
D20s if I could.
Okay, Lumira, your survival's a 10. Did you get it? No. Okay, so nothing from
That
Lumira.
tracks. That tracks.
Let's go to Sayer. So Sayer, are you harnessing a relevant tool or power?
Would you allow the fact that I'm acting on an omen to be me harnessing my power?
You know what? Yeah, I would. Because you have also described how you are like basically shirking everything and anything else to solely focus on protecting your team and harvesting resources. So yeah.
Absolutely.
2d20,
Do die,
you
say
need to beat
die.
12. Oh yay! Roll for it. 12 or
Y'all
under.
should get a set. Y'all should get a set of Strike Team Nova dice, y'all.
Yeah, real.
bit.ly/transdhd.
And they come in such nice containers with our
I
logo
know.
on them.
It's got our logo.
A logo on them. Official collaboration. Those
Look
are
at
2
how
successes. That's a 9 and a 10.
Yeah.
A 9 and a 10. 2 successes. That's great. That's 2 resources. Would you like to put those toward provisions, energy, or protection?
Provisions for sure.
Both of
I'm gonna look at the rest of of my team over here, y'all. Provisions.
Okay.
Do you want both provisions, or should I do one for protection?
Probably 1 for protection wouldn't be amiss.
All right, I'll do that. 1 provision, 1 protection.
I'm always going to vote provisions, especially if you want to be healed.
Oh, that's true.
That's true.
And we did eat those.
Yep, 2 provisions it is.
Okay. Then your provisions go from 6 to 8. Now we go to Zynon. Do you have a relevant tool or power?
So Zynon spent this whole time very in his own head and partly I wouldn't say apologizing, but feeling that it's not even an echo. It should feel like an echo of this call. that he experienced from Artemis's perspective of all of Kesseki. And in that, I think he has been walking with his ghosts nearly this whole trip. So my pitch would be to wield the ghosts of the Lodestar studying.
I will say yes, because this week you have also specifically been trying to get in tune with your body in a way that brings you closer to your ghosts, both spiritually and quite literally physically. So yes, 2d20.
And then I have another thing.
I know
which
you
is
do.
my
if you
scavenger
get
ability.
successes. Yes.
It says when I make a skill check to forage, craft, or navigate, roll dominant.
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness, what did that mean again? Sorry, it's been so long. Let me see. Rolling dominant. Each success counts as 2 successes. That's what that means.
Great,
Okay,
perfect.
Lovely.
Let's go. Rolling under a 12. Oh, that's a 1 and a
Let's
6.
fucking go.
A 1 and a
Yay,
6?
a 1.
Yeah.
That's 4. Oh my god, that's 4. Okay, so you get 4 resources, Zynon. Where would you like to put them?
Let's do 2 more in provisions.
For provisions? Okay.
And then 1 in protection and 1 in energy, unless anyone has any opinions otherwise.
Yeah, okay, I think everyone's good with that. So that means, Strike Team Nova, you have 10 provisions, 4 energy, and 3 protection at the end of your first week. However, that brings me to the next piece of survival, which is resource drain. So traveling drains your resources at a rate of 1 provision per person per week. Anything less than this, and you begin to starve. An average mortal can go about 3 weeks or so without food before they risk death. And if you are injured, which all of you are, or exhausted, which all of you are, or very old or very young, this risk increases. Zynon, you are something of an exception to this rule. As you are beginning to suspect, your body does not need resources to sustain itself like most living mortals do, because you are not, strictly speaking, a living mortal. That being said, you still feel hunger and thirst and exhaustion and pain. And the more hungry, thirsty, exhausted, and in pain you are, the less capable you become as your reflexes dull and your body physically weakens. Right now, you have 10 provisions. Are there any extra provisions your team would like to spend this week, either to reduce your harm trackers or to fulfill a different project? Or would you like to take the usual rate?
How's bad Nova looking?
I have
So-
1 hit point left.
Yeah. Both,
Yeah.
All of you have 1 hit point left. Yinghe has 2.
I didn't ask about me. I said Nova.
Yeah, we know that you are also rough, though. Hello.
Mhm.
We are aware.
Again. Sorry. Let me be more forward. I asked about Nova, not about Lumira.
So Nova, Yinghe looks probably the best off, though that's still kind of the 3 other members of Nova. Seir and Zynon both look really rough. The kind of ad hoc field medic tending to at the tower that you did on their injuries stabilized them, but unless you take extra time and extra resources to really treat those injuries, they're gonna stay at the same rate of badness because you're moving and you're not allowing them to rest and potentially risk getting worse.
So we have 6 now after everyone took their provision.
Yes, you have 6 provisions left.
I can use all of our provisions to have both of them heal a hit point. But then we would have no more provisions and we would have to scavenge again.
Yeah, that would depend on your next group survival check how many more provisions you get, and you better hope you get at least 4, or else you're gonna run out of food.
If Lumira
That's up
came
to
to
y'all.
Zynon, if Lumira came to Zynon and told him that she was going to fix him, he would point to the person who's working themselves to the bone and say, he looks like he's going to fall apart if he keeps up at this pace.
Okay. So I will use 3 of those provisions for Sayir. Sayir, you can drop, you can gain back a hit point.
Thank you.
Okay, and we're gonna leave Zynon with 1 hit point, but we're gonna save the rest of our provisions. Okay, which means at the end of this, we have 3 provisions, 4 energy, and 3 protection. Okay. Okay, then. There is a final piece of survival that we have to do. One that I am personally very excited about.
They look way too happy.
Connie's random encounter table. That's right. We're doing random encounters this arc.
Connie, you better
Because
hope
it's
I don't see you
thematically
in person.
relevant.
Again.
I am using my sing die, okay? I'm using my pink sing die to make this roll. I'm going to roll this behind the GM screen, and the result is going to decide what, if anything, happens to your party this week. Okay.
Don't react like that.
On the 5th day of travel, your party stumbles across an abandoned hutch, kind of erected on stilts against the slope of the mountain. A hutch is essentially a cage that used to contain domesticated animals, perhaps bred for eggs or for food. And though no life remains within, you're able to scavenge some old feed, and your party gains 2 provisions. That brings you
Thanks,
up
Sing.
to 5. Okay. That was a good outcome. Strike Team Nova. As these first few days turn into a week, your isolation presses in against you on all sides. You haven't seen another person at all. Only the 4 of you, and only yourselves. And this isolation has many names. Silence, loneliness, hunger, a radio that won't talk back, a book you have read 1,000 times, a family you will never see again, a home you can never return to. Your only companion is the nothingness that surrounds you, the empty space that defines your isolation, the void within, the void without. It watches you toil. It watches you suffer. It watches you die, and it waits for you. The shepherd of the end. And we're going to go to break there. So thank you all so much for tuning in so far. We are going to be back in just about 10 minutes as we take a quick bio break. So please use this as an opportunity to stretch your legs, grab a drink, grab a snack, and enjoy a word from our sponsors during this 10-minute break. Spisho, Bijou. Transplainers, you know what time it is. Sponsor Connie time. For Arc 4, we're collaborating with the Working Families Party, who are building a multiracial coalition of working class people to make our communities a better place to live for everyone. You might be thinking, why does a political party care about a queer tabletop show? As it turns out, the Working Families Party believes in the power of fandom to affect positive political change in the real world. So do we. As a transplainerd, you're no stranger to just how political our show can be and how our stories are never just fiction. In fact, let's take an action together right now by signing a petition by the Working Families Party to break up big media companies. This cause means a lot to us personally as indie actual play performers fighting censorship, telling authentic stories, and resisting authoritarianism. Go to bit.ly/WFPtrans and add your name to the list. By signing this petition, you will join the Working Families Party's mailing list and receive opportunities to help them organize, educate, and fundraise. So let's build a better future together. Howdy, Transplainers! It is, once again, Sponsor Connie time. Arc 4 is proudly sponsored by Hero Forge, a website where you can design and print your very own custom miniatures. But you already knew that, didn't you? Because the spectacular Hero Forge has sponsored us every single arc so far. We've stuck together through all sorts of exciting updates, like Hero Forge Pro, statuettes, color-printed plastic, premium plastic, but now, it's time. It's time for one of the most exciting Hero Forge updates ever. Custom dice. Hero Forge is now offering 3D printed custom dice, where you can put literally anything into the clear material of the die. Each die is printed in the same layers as the item or character bust inside of it, resulting in a solid, perfectly weighted chunk of math rock. You decide the size, color, and shape of your die, the size and color of the numbers on top, and, of course, what the die contains.
Put a frog in it.
Don't die-lay. Visit bit.ly/transforge to design your very own custom miniature or custom dice today. Hello, friends. Thanks for waiting. Welcome back from the break. We're just going to hop right back into the session, Arc 4, episodes 13 and 14. This is 14. But as a reminder, first of all, of content warnings. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. So content warnings for this particular session may include fantasy violence, survival and scarcity, environmental collapse, apocalypse, grief, death of loved ones, killing, blood, body horror, monsters, complex relationships, and references to classism and the loss of children. So you can use the !CW command in the Twitch chat at any time to look at these content warnings, and in the YouTube live, our incredible mods will be copy and pasting these content warnings in chat so you can always stay abreast of what is happening. And with that, we are going to hop right back into the session. Notes on Biome. Entry 094. It is widely regarded that the last ecosystem to die on Kesseki was the desert. It was already an arid biome to begin with, and it held out for a long time, much longer than the rest. The plants and the animals and the peoples knew what they had to do, more than most. Succulents went dormant, closing their spines and shedding their blooms to conserve what little water was left. Beetles and rock foxes tunneled underground, nesting near veins of water and pockets of dampness. Desert communities rallied around their precious wells and aquifers, praying to our ancestors for relief. But relief did not come. Cacti were pried open by desperate knives and claws and tongues that licked up whatever moisture they could find. Unrelenting winds blew in every direction, toppling trees and buildings, eroding structures that had stood for centuries. Scorching heat from the triple suns drilled holes through the increasingly unstable magnetic field around the planet's atmosphere, sparking wildfires at the lightest disturbance. And the sand. The rich and golden sand, made of so many tiny particles of rock and quartz, the child of mountains and wind, of endless kisses between breeze and stone, also died. The quartz flaked away. The rock decayed. Golden grains turned gray and limp and thin. The deserts of Kesseki put up a good fight against the drought. One of the best, in the opinion of this humble archivist. But they could not last forever. Nothing lasts forever in the end. The second week dawns. The black spire of the radio tower fades into the distant dust behind your backs, and the steep, crumbling terrain of this once mighty mountain evens out into what used to be, according to Zion's map, the Hofu Desert. But unlike a desert, it is not alive. It is not rich and golden and full of spiny plants and flying insects and tiny beasts that burrow through the earth. Instead, a gray expanse sprawls before you with dunes of powdery dust that lack the firmness, the solidity of sand. With each step, you risk sinking into the dust. Sometimes the dust is only ankle deep. Other times you fall until the ball of your foot hits something solid and you catch yourself half submerged, coughing. Each disturbance you make kicks up the dust, and unlike sand, it does not settle down. The dust flies upward and everywhere and lingers forever around you, choking the very air itself, following your party like a cursed miasma. This is the only ocean on Kesseki now, an ocean of dust and grit, of gray swirling and endless wheezing. Here, in what used to be the Hofu Desert, the days are scorching. The dust that thickens the atmosphere acts as a thermal layer, trapping the heat from the triple suns. And unlike how the desert used to be, how the desert should be, this heat is suffocating. Not humid. There's not nearly enough moisture in the atmosphere for that, but a simulacrum of humid, which is somehow worse, because you must endure the smothering discomfort of humidity with none of the relief that accompanies it in the form of water. Your only reprieve is the night, if you can call it a reprieve. The nights are long, very long and cold, very cold. Within an hour of the sun's going down, the heat dissipates and the chill sets in. The starlight does its best to penetrate the dust, but it is paltry and it is weak, and you cannot see more than 12 feet in any direction. You must huddle for warmth, and even then the risk of hypothermia is high. The desert feels endless, and it is dotted by all manner of things that do and don't make sense. You see caverns bored into the sides of desiccated hills, a half of a jet wing, an entire house turned on its side, smashed into smithereens, every piece of it picked clean. As the days turn into yet another week, how do you endure the desert and keep yourself occupied? Let's start with Zynon.
Zynon begins to sober again. He was quite cheerful last week, all things considered, and given his general demeanor since we landed on Kesseki. That's been wearing, not necessarily back into hopelessness or sadness, but more of a somber contemplation. And with that, he begins to wonder lots of other things, questions that he had somewhat put on the back burner in the pain of arriving at the tower, in the confusion of everything he had learned. And now, in a little bit of pain, it resurfaces again. The question he almost asked Lumira in that rundown building that we found shelter in right before finding the tower. You can hear her say it when Kesseki was green. And Zynon, still somewhat incapable of getting straight to the point, limps his way to Lumira as the suns are in that strange middle place of going down. It's not cold yet. And I think he just goes, at first, sitting down. Would you redress my wound for me?
Yeah, of course. No problem. And she'll start digging around in her robes and such, in her jacket for all of her medical supplies.
But as she works, he watches and waits to gather the thought, the question, and a little bit the courage. Actually, will you, when you're done with that, will you listen to my heartbeat?
Yeah. Lumira's eyes go wide in concern. Have you been experiencing any arrhythmia or?
No, it's just, well, you'll I think it might sound a little odd.
Okay. I don't think I have my stethoscope with me. Just hold still. And Lumira will gently place her head in between your breastbone.
And he pulls away his scarf and his goggles and lets her get to hear it. Unhampered through fabric as much as possible, just the thin layer of his shirt in the way.
Lumira, you press your ear. Lumira, you press your ear against Zainan's sternum, and you focus. You tune out the rest of the howling wind and the blowing dust around you. And you concentrate. And at first you don't hear anything, perhaps the empty space between beats. And then you hear it. But there's something wrong. It's there, but barely. It feels far away. As though it weren't 2 inches underneath your ear, but 2 miles beneath the earth. And you were pressing the hollow of your earlobe against the opening of a well. It's an echo of an echo. A memory of a memory of what should have been there. What was there, what isn't, could be there.
Simon, do me a favor.
Hmm.
Take 4 deep breaths for me, please.
And he does. Nice and slow and steady.
Lumira, you hear the wind whooshing into Zainan's lungs like a kind of familiar rushing noise that you're very used to as a healer. You hear it swirling around the lungs. You can sense the lungs expand and then like push outward. And through it all, the heartbeat just stays the same rate and the same distance away. And Zainan, is there a moment after you take the 4th breath where you don't take a 5th?
Oh, he stops. In fact, he looks down and waits for her to notice that he has just stopped breathing.
Zainan, you have to breathe. You're not light-headed.
No. And he doesn't breathe in to say those words. As he looks down, not at all. And he puts his hand on her arm. I think maybe I'm a bit more different than I realized.
I mean, yeah, your heartbeat doesn't sound typical. It doesn't sound like it's beating right underneath the ribcage, which is the way it typically does do in every single anatomy class I've ever taken. And
What I thought when I got back to trans was that they had healed me using the traditional techniques that you learned in therapeutics and recovery. But what if I told you, through something I barely understand, and he looks up to that seed in the sky, that thing staring down. What if I told you I was dead?
Don't be ridiculous. You're literally standing right here in front of me.
I know. I know.
And then I
takes a
think,
deep breath in.
and I think in that moment when you take that deep breath in, that is the light that goes off in her mind. So you have not taken a breath since that last one up until now. Holy shit.
Strange things we learn every day,
How is that even possible?
says the person who traveled back in time.
And I think that immediately tampers the inquisitive gears turning that was in her mind. Touche.
You think you could do it again?
That is a loaded question, Simon.
Just wondering.
I mean, I did it before. I could probably do it again, but that was my first time, and I still don't feel right after it. It did such scrambling and remelding and re-scrambling of. And she gestures to her body in a way that she can't even really describe outside of just all over her person. It's... I just can't right now. It's genuinely not that I don't want to. I just... To my understanding, you have to have a certain amount of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's rules that are involved.
Well, obviously, like any learning you've done, you can do anything you put your mind to, Lumira.
Yeah. I can. I just don't know if I'd be able to get back this time.
Well, things to learn when you get better. Recover first.
Yeah. Is that all you want to say to me? You've been looking at me weird for weeks.
He looks her over, and it's the same concern that he came to you with when he held out that little bit of food that he promised he wouldn't do again. That's all. You know, I think you're capable of anything. That's all.
I appreciate your vote of confidence.
Maybe next time you'll shoot the middle of a target. Anyways,
Someone was a better teacher.
All right, well, I will tell that to the burned food.
You know what? And Lumira will gently poke her finger in the side of your wound. I'll remember that next time you ask for help. Pop, pop.
And now, as the days turn into yet another week, we pan across space and time to settle on you, Lumira. How do you endure the desert and keep yourself occupied?
What Lumira typically does to keep herself occupied. She does what she knows. So she makes her medical rounds, double checking over everyone, making sure that people are as okay shape as possible, looking out for signs of infection, things of that nature. And if she's not doing that, she's reading quite literally the only book that is available to her right now for the 12th time. Passions of the Godspine. You know, after her 6th time through it, it actually does get better. Not much, but she sees what's happening there. There's something brewing under the surface, and she just closes the book again. She got to this one chapter where it's written a little clunky, and it's always hard for her to get through that part. So she'll close it for later on tonight and make her way over to Yinghe.
As you close your book, after reading through it for the umpteenth time, it's an entertaining read, and it is useful for now. You are squeezing as much water as you can from this stone in the art of occupying yourself from thinking about the other things that are there. The way that Zion is looking at you when he asks about your chronergy. The way that Sayer paces and ignores you, ignores everyone else, refuses to look any of you in the eye. And as you walk over to Yinghe, who has, over the course of these past 2 weeks, not really spoken much to Zion, not really spoken much to Sayer, if at all, and has primarily turned to you as a conversational partner. You see them bring their head up, the black silk-like hair falling out of their eyes. Their hat is on the ground next to them in this brief moment of respite, and you can see that their arm is no longer in a splint, but in a kind of cast that you had helped mold for them out of what meager resources and scraps of plastic and fabric you were able to piece together. Here for your checkup. They smile a little, and they offer you the arm.
Hey.
Hi.
How you feeling?
I'm okay. Arm's fine. Still hurts a little, but it's getting better every day. I think I'm getting some mobility back in
Can
my
you roll
fingers.
your shoulder yet? It's still a bit painful?
Yeah, it still hurts a little, but
You gotta move it just a little bit, hon.
I know, it's just hard and hurts.
Okay. So, let's go over it one more time. Hand up.
Okay. Up.
Thumb.
Okay.
Index finger. Middle. Ring. You get more mobility there. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Pinky.
The ring's really sticking, and the pinky. And Yinghe winces a little. The pinky's always been the hardest for them
Don't
to roll
stress it.
down. And they kind of let out a deep breath, and they look at you with those eyes of theirs. Can you help me like you did yesterday with bringing my pinky down?
Okay. And Lumira will walk behind Yinghe, gently brace her left hand over her wrist, and with her right index finger will gently push it down. Tell me when.
Oh, that actually feels good. It's nice to get a stretch there.
Okay. Up one more time.
Okay.
We'll do it again.
All right.
One more time. We're gonna try a little further. Just a little bit.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, okay. We'll back up.
No, oh no, it doesn't hurt. It's good. It feels good. It's nice
Okay.
when you hold it.
Okay. One more time? Can you for me?
Yes. Yes, for you.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
One more.
Okay.
There. Okay. And Lumira will like kind of feel around their hand, tenderly checking around in their shoulder. It doesn't look like anything is pulled, but looks like you're healing pretty nicely.
Thanks to you. I really can't thank you enough, Lumira.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You're up to that part in Passions again, aren't you? Where they have that, like, really awkward, like, three-way romantic fight.
Yeah, and like I don't understand the play because like if they all just spoke to each other.
I know. Oh my gods, that's what I've been saying. It's like the author doesn't even really know how to write people. Like, if I was in that situation, I'd just bring stuff up.
Exactly. Like you can catch way more bees with honey than you can with vinegar. Just be open. Especially about your feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see Inka glance subconsciously in Sayir's direction, and then they look back at you. Well, thank you for the PT. I really appreciate it. And if I can do anything for you, let me know. I know you're still tired, even though it's been a few weeks. Really seems like all that time stuff took a lot out of you. But I'm always here if you want to talk or if you need anything.
I appreciate that. You know, you're the only one I can really talk to. Those other two are...
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too nowadays.
Yeah. Well, remember, hand exercises 3 times a day. We're
Yes.
gonna try each finger random times when you think about it, when you're able to.
Yes, and
Attempt
I
to
might
roll your
need
shoulder.
your fingers to help me with some of those.
Yeah, of course. Anything for you. Okay?
Okay. Well, I guess it's time for Sayer's checkup now.
Yep. Okay. Remember before bed and when you get up in the morning, back and forth
Yes.
mobility with your shoulder.
Yes, will do.
Okay.
Yes, Doc.
Okay. And Lumira will reach out and kind of like caress the side of their head and will stand back up a little gingerly with her injury and her thigh still, and will make her way over to Sayir. She walks up to Sayir very cautiously, almost like she's trying to get into the same gate or barn with an animal that's a bit on edge, a bit antsy. And she'll stay off to the corner. Hey,
Hey,
let me look at your tail.
Sayer's antlers have been loading. The lights in it, I mean. Where usually the light of contemplation would blink a reflective white. It's red. over and over and over again. And it stills for a moment as if there's a slight light glitch where a bit of lavender shines through, but it is snuffed out back by the red. And Sayer turns to you, stands up. It's better now, since the extra splint and attention you gave to it the other day.
Good. Good. Can you move it at all? And she gingerly walks closer to you.
You approach him. Doesn't say anything, Lumira. He doesn't look at your eyes. His eyes, his own bright blue, they're so dull. They're so dull, they're almost gray. He moves the tail. It moves. It works. There's stuttering. Definitely around the area that the bone where his tail snapped against that cavern wall. He is a shell of himself, and Sayer even here in this moment as he casts his gaze onto the floor, his feet. All he wants to do, that he knows will give him comfort, that he knows would help, that would heal him, make him feel less like a walking blade, is if he could just look at you and tell you the truth. If he could just help Yinghe through therapeutics, if he could just listen to Yinghe, maybe speak a little bit, if he could just sit with Sinan like he did on the Wild Sea. He could do all of that. But he doesn't. They stand there stock still, imprisoned by the red threads of their own mind, suffocating him. And all that is left that Sayer feels himself worthy of is this. Because this is not a man who cares about himself in any stretch of the imagination. The only person who could do this to themselves is someone who truly, truly hates themselves.
I think at first, Lumira doesn't even notice. I think she is so, not even I think, she's so tunnel visioned right now, searching for anything, any type of outside stimuli, anything that could keep her focused here in the now on the ground instead of that big black hole in the sky that still haunts her dreams and her waking moments, to the point where she doesn't even look up anymore. She keeps her head down and has been, but it's still there. So as she goes through the rounds, it takes her a moment to even realize she's having a hard time even touching you. Every time you feel her hands make contact, it's almost like she's in contact with a hot stove. She pulls back a bit, unsure. She still remembers. Remembers what you felt like in her arms, remembers what happened in Inferno. All of this right now. She is barely keeping it together, but so are you. And
How tragic it is that we both stand here just at the precipice of connection. A comfort that we know that we can give one another, and we will refuse it to ourselves.
I can't hurt more people.
And I can't watch you die.
Sayer, as the days turn into yet another week, how do you endure the desert and keep yourself occupied?
I do not. I pull, I push, I break, and I hold. Every boulder that we step on is held in place by me. Every steep climb is not hiked. I tie a rope around the bodies of every Strike Team Nova member, and I pull them up myself. I insist on it. I insist on all of this, actually. The destruction of my body, with starvation, when hunger is so heavy. I feel my body struggle, my muscle weaken, and I do not let it rest. I do the same thing I always do. I maintain the perimeter. I scavenge. I watch my teammates sleep. I pray that Zynon doesn't breathe his last, as his body feels colder next to mine as I huddle everyone closer to my body and my warmth. He feels colder every night. There's a distance between Lumira and I that I refuse to close, and yet I see the pain in her eyes and I refuse to do anything about it. I see Yinghe's pain, and all they could need is my shoulder, my safety, my friendship. And what do? Nothing. Fear takes hold of me.
There is no oil black serpent coiled around your ear, whispering dreams of fire into you in the wild sea. There is no divine gnawing, empowering you to gorge yourself upon the devouring of the past of the city of heaven. This is not Doom's edict. This is not the teaching of the great huntress. These are not your instincts. These are not your skills. This is not your calling. This is a choice. Choices you are making over and over and over again each time you turn away from Lumira. Each time you refuse to confront Zynon. Each time you decide not to be the one to speak to Yinghe first, as you know they want, as you know they need, as they have asked you for, over and over and over again through the course of your bond with each other. This is you, and you alone. And you are alone. Despite being surrounded by your strike team, an isolation, a insulation of nothingness that you place yourself in willingly. Why?
When Eregnus whispered power into my ear, it felt bad. I know then and I know now I felt the darkness, I felt the oil, that's why I feared it. I felt the gnawing hunger as I bit into a demon and felt their blood satiate me. That felt bad. I could tell. I could feel the doom around me. There's something about the lie they tell themselves. That this is twisted to noble purpose. If I'm doing this for Nova, this cannot be a wrong choice, right? Why do I do it? It's because I don't deserve those comforts. There is a sin I have not paid the price for, and I will constantly punish myself. I will bear the self-imposed cross because I know not love nor mercy for myself. How can you love yourself when all you see in the mirror is a void?
The second week draws to a close, and we have yet another round of survival to account for. First, our group survival check. Just as a reminder, each individual success you get is one resource that you harvest over the course of the week. You decide if it goes to provisions, energy, or protection. Let's start this time with Zynon. Are you harnessing a relevant tool or power?
Absolutely. Zynon, when left alone, even when he is just walking, he is testing the limits. He's remembering Naeem shunting him out of his own physical form. He is thinking about the ghosts that he called upon in the city of heaven. He is walking the path that he stumbled through before now with open eyes. And he is looking for the ghosts. Like he saw the tree from the lodestar setting. He saw the spirit therein. He saw so many things. He knows so many things now that he didn't know before. And he goes looking for them, asking for their help.
Okay. Just like in the previous week, you follow the vestiges, the echoes of the ghosts that now feel closer to you. Not because they left you and returned, but because you left them, learned who you were, and found your way back. Are finding your way back with each new revelation of your body, each internal apology you make, each earnest step forward in their direction. And you see footsteps leading you to places where you can harvest resources. You hear ghostly whispers that turn your head in the direction of a place that might promise some scrap of water or food. So why don't you make your roll with 2d20 and roll dominant. Looking for 12 and under.
Absolutely. Ooh, 112.
Okay, that's two resources though. That's still pretty good. Where would you like to put it? We have 5 provisions, 4 energy, and 3 protection.
I think knowing what's going on Zynon feels pretty safe with the energy and the protection we have now, so it's all going to go into provisions.
That is a smart choice. Let's pan over to Lumira. I don't think you have a relevant tool or power, so that's just going to be 1d20.
Me and my one, as usual.
10 and under.
I'm just using another die this time. Perfect. 8. So that's 1.
Okay.
Success.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, where would you like to put that resource?
I'm definitely going to put it into provisions as well.
Great. That's always an excellent category to put it in. And finally, let's go over to Sayir.
It's just Sayir. That's the only thing that's fueling him. Not even Doom's guidance, so I think that'll be just 1d20.
Yes, I think so too. We are looking for a 12 and under for you.
That is a failure with 15.
Yes, actually, I'd love for you to tell me how this failure comes about. You're pushing yourself to the limit. Zynon finds the lion's share of food and what little moisture remains in hidden caches throughout this desiccated desert, and even Lumira is able to scrounge up a spare ration or two. Why don't you find anything?
Sayir finds nothing. Because it's not survival anymore. It's not hunting anymore. Sayir jumps at shadows. Sayir's distracted by a strange rustling in the distance. It is a paranoia that distracts him immensely. He will tell himself that it is. It's better for me to be in the perimeter. I'll hover. And that's all he
Sayir.
does.
You fray your own nerves with these terrible, self-loathing thoughts that act as steel wool, just scrubbing at the interior contours of your mind. You are jumpy, your cortisol levels are through the roof. At this point, by the end of the second week, your blood pressure has been elevated for at least 15 days in a row. You haven't been sleeping well. You've been pushing yourself to the limit. Of course you didn't find anything. Ironically, in attempting to try to keep everything together, you're falling apart before your own eyes. Those eyes that you keep fixed to the ground, fixed in any direction except the faces of your strike team members. And now, it is time for our resource drain. We had 8 provisions, that's going down to 4. Lumira, would you like to spend 3 to patch someone else up?
Where are we at right now with provisions after that? We have 4 left over.
We've got 4 left, so if you spend 3, we'll have
We'll
1
have
left.
I'll hold on to it.
Okay.
Because I know
Okay.
Zion's still not going to want me to patch him up. So
You are right.
Okay. Sounds good. And now it's time for the third and final piece of survival. My favorite piece. Using the sing die. Oh, okay. On your 14th day of travel, your party comes across something buried in the earth beneath you, poking out of the desiccated sand. And upon unearthing it, you find a small metal box. When you open it up, because the hinges are rusty and the lock that's on is so far gone you can easily crack it open, you see a container full of loose bullets. Some of these bullets fit Zynon's gun, but most of them do not. Aside from the bullets, there is also a photograph. a small photograph that's been folded in half so it can fit inside the canister. And when you open up the photo, you see that it is almost fully decayed and dissolved, but you can still make out what you surmise is a portrait of someone next to a windowsill, looking outside. And their face is completely illegible, and so are most of the details. But you glimpse bright purple grass outside the window. You see a single hand resting against a knee, with a small iron band around the ring finger. A wedding ring. Which of the items in this box does your party keep? And which, if any, do you leave behind?
I think Zynon would, out of habit, take it all. But in the past where he might have left behind the picture, he looks at it, and for a second he feels like he can smell that grass. He wants to just dive into it, and with the same eagerness that he has shown the map and talked about places that are adjacent to Haruna as we get closer, he shows it, and he beams with love and pride. Shows it to everyone.
Lumira and Sair, how do the two of you react to this moment from Zynon?
Do you know him? Do you know this person
No.
at all?
Don't even know who this is. But look out the window.
Purple grass.
It's beautiful.
That's how it used to look.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. The whole world used to be like this. Not green, purple. Some places. I know there used to be desert somewhere around here. Just as lush, full of life.
Zynon, you hold on to the photo. You hold on to the bullets. And that is an additional 1 protection for your party. So by the end of week 2, you have a 4 in all 3 categories: provisions, energy, and protection. As the 3rd week of travel dawns, the scorching hot dunes of dust eventually give way to the river. Or at least what used to be the river. Once upon a time, Drakefly Run was one of countless distributaries of the ancestral line, the great river that flowed north to south through the entirety of Kesseki. Drakefly Run gushed through a vast and mighty canyon that was home to countless communities that built their futures on its rich and fertile banks. This river, and the canyon that it snakes through, is marked on Zynon's map as an opulent stretch of turquoise, scarlet, and gold that eventually tumbles into the jeweled waters of the Kagayaku Ocean, creating a craggy coast where the two biomes collide. In a messy and angular script, Operator 19 had scribbled the following words: Gem-beaked kingfisher. And now, upon this dusty ridge that marks the end of the Hofu Desert, Drakefly Canyon extends for as far as your eyes can see. Maze-like walls rise in all directions, forming an endless labyrinth of jagged rock. A long, long time ago, this rock was red and striated and lush with plants and insects and the nests of river birds. But now, a dull gray sheen hangs in every crevice, obscuring your vision and choking your lungs. At the bottom of this gorge, the ghost of Drakefly Run winds colorlessly between spiraling buttes and precipitous cliffs. All that remains is a dried up river bed, hard and cracked and dead, just like the ground of Hane Bay, just like the ground everywhere. These cracks range from hairline fractures to deep, yawning fissures. Your team rappels down a steep cliff, and you begin to follow the river toward the sea. As the days pass, you encounter a few things of note. An abandoned fishing village with every house picked clean, a rusted and overturned steamboat dashed against the rocks, an anchor, massive, without a vessel. All around you, jagged buttes tower into the air. Some are solid and rectangular, others arched with openings so wide it could fit a train through. Still others are thin and spiraling and pillar-like, their walls etched with deep gouges from countless centuries of erosion by water, wind, and now dust. According to the map, by the time you reach Drakefly Canyon, you have covered over 230 miles on foot. There are many miles left to travel, but Haruna Valley is closer to your grasp than ever before. Zynon, even though you've never been to Drakefly Run in your life, you are familiar with its parent river, the Ancestral Line. One of the line's many distributaries flows into the Haruna itself. But the river dried up before the lake did, years before you were born. The elders in the city spoke of Haruna River with fondness, but you never saw its emerald waters with your own two eyes, never heard it roar in the summer like a prairie leopard and burble in the winter against its own frozen current. The river drying up was just something it did, something that happened. There was still the lake, always the lake, until that, too, died. So, when you reach this canyon, Zynon, you can sense what is to come deep within your bones. Drakefly Run is a stranger to you, but her cousin is not. Her cousin, or at least the tales of him, lives in a strange place within you, a memory of a memory, a ghost of a ghost. And this memory, this ghost, is tinged with home. You're getting closer to Haruna. You can feel it. So let's start with you, Zynon. It is the end of the third week. Night fell 2-3 hours ago, and camp was made shortly after, in the shadow of a twisting butte. All around you, massive fingers of rock extend for as far as the eye can see, cradling you in their palms, as though they were the Buddha themselves. It's cold. The wind is calm. The shadowy lumps of your party's tents are arranged around the fire, assembled from scraps of fabric, plastic sheets, and random materials you scavenged over the course of your journey. The flame flickers, casting dancing shadows across your face. You are on first watch. What thoughts are playing through your mind, and how do you pass the time before your shift ends?
The sense of home is like a beacon. It's like a call. It's like a prayer. And it elicits grief. But not the same grief that he's held like a fragile, hollow eggshell. But one that he didn't let himself feel. And with the knowledge that he's walked with now for over 2 weeks, it feels like the sound of a bell deep in his soul, ringing with a love that is as much a part of him as his body, as his identity, as his name. That grief he pictures holding, and she is a frail 11-year-old. She is also sitting just out of reach in the loam of the wild sea. That grief is the look on Nova's face when Zynon returned after being gone. It's a grief that he is both made and that he is made of. Love for his children. And he will hold that grief like a dagger he walks into every day for the rest of his life. But every day of this journey, it has further and further solidified what he already knew. Hell, what Naeem knew back at Trans. Nova's his family. And here around this fire, holding the memory of the two daughters that aren't here. As the fire burns low and he can almost smell drakeberry on the air. He does something he's thought about only alone for over a decade. Over moon and under stars, fly to dreamland in my arms. Nothing keeping you awake. I will be here at daybreak. Never worry, never fear. I will keep you safe and near. Better catch sleep for it runs. I will hold you, my loved one. Stars watch over you tonight. They will keep the skies alight. Dream so sweet till sun's delight. I'm beside you through the night. And he sings quietly a lullaby handed down to him by his parents, handed to them by theirs.
Zynon, as the last note of your lullaby rings out into the still, dusty air around you, you see something lit by the fire, the corner of your gaze. Raptor prints in the dust, leading in the direction of home, of Haruna Valley. And then a stray breeze comes and blows the prints away.
He holds that vision, looks over his family, and we see Zynon Esh happy at the end of his world.
Lumira, here at camp, settling down yet again toward the end of your third week in a long odyssey toward Haruna Valley. Where do we find you, and how are you passing the time before bed?
I think at this point, Lumira is probably off, not away from everyone else, but I think she's like off over to the side. I think Lumira and Yinghe have like put their bedrolls like next to each other together, and just sit and chat. I think it looks almost akin to like, you know, like the girls' sleepover, where like Lumira is like leaning like on her stomach and is like talking to Yinghe like rather emphatically, and is pointing to Passions of the God Spine in between the two of them. And I think it was just like, see, and this is what I was talking about with the characterization of Luna and Midnight and Shadow. Actually, this doesn't even make any sense. It says right here in chapter 14 that Luna said that Shadow's bones were all broken, but then in that same chapter right before the end, and they're really quick at that, it says that Shadow just got up. Now how can you do that if you've broken multiple bones, let alone any bone? It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. You know, as someone with a broken arm, I can tell you it's really bad, and
It's
you know,
way
even
more
a single
excruciating.
broken bone, yes, would absolutely take you out of the equation. So every
Let alone
bone
multiple.
in Shadow Oak's body, yeah, it doesn't
And-
make any sense.
Exactly.
This is just another example of the inconsistency of the narrative here.
exactly what I'm talking about. And Lumira like has a pen and like pulls a top off it with her teeth and is like jotting in the margins in between Artemis's note and Wu Yin's note with like actual, like, you know, like a medical examiner like analyzes this death scene. Like that is what she is doing, like putting like actual medical notes in between the margins and annotations between the two of them.
Yes, and Yinghe's like chiming in and like telling you additional things you should like note and other details to point out. And it's around this time.
Understood this at all.
I know. It's like Wu Yin and Artemis aren't even really talking about what's actually happening in this paragraph. I don't know if they're even reading the same book as we are, but. And then Yinghe trails off because that's when Zainan's lullaby drifts over the still wind in your direction. A few sentences of it, the melody, and then it dies down. And Yinghe quiets down. It's beautiful.
I've known Zainan
it's
for
also-
a long time, and I've never heard him sing.
He has a really nice voice. The song is very sad.
And I think they say sad at the exact same time.
Yeah. There's a moment when Yinghe blinks upon hearing the same word come from your mouth, and they look at you. Oh, actually, I think it's my turn for Night Watch. I'll go relieve Zainan.
Oh, okay. Tell him I want to see that wound before he goes to bed. Make sure it's
Okay,
clean.
I'll let him know. And Yinghe smiles
Night.
and gets up. Good night. Sweet dreams. And they head off in Zainan's direction. As they do, Lumira, you are left alone. Again. With just yourself, your thoughts, and the book. And even at night, even though the sky is dark and partially obscured by gray mist, and the stars are not visible through the haze, the one thing that is visible is that hole, darker than black, more void than void, that looms above your head and stares at you. And with it, you hear the voice of the drifter, the urgent tones, the dire warnings and lessons they had impressed upon you back in time. You remember the strain of it pulling at you, vaulting, how it took so much out of you. The fear and care in the drifter's voice about the consequences of even a tiny mistake, how entire timelines and every single person in every single world might not exist with just the smallest miscalculation on your part.
I think with that, Lumira just buries her head deeper into that book, almost laying her head on it and throwing her arm across her face, doing literally anything that she can to block out that imprint, that darkness, that hole that follows her everywhere. No. And she will steel herself and go right back into the book, not making eye contact with anything else up here. Her entire frame of vision and focus is faced on the ground.
Yinghe relieves Zynon of his watch duty, and Zynon, as you walk for your nightly checkup toward Lumira's bedroll and makeshift tent, you pass by the final tent of your party, Sayers. And we push now into Sayers' tent to find him alone, as always. What thoughts are playing through your mind? And how are you passing the time before bed?
Sayer, so tired. He is hungry. They're looking at their hands that was used to rig the camp, build the camp, secure perimeter, hold boulders, keep grounds secure. And they're covered in cuts. His hands were callous before, but they're now so thick in calluses and blisters. They're not recognizable to him anymore. And Watto sleep, lest the immortal, the patron saint of mortals, were to loose an arrow in their direction. What horror. The horror of wake or horror of sleep, it's no different. If I sleep, I dream of my dead members, just like the death of my sister. I feel the patron saint of mortals' blade aimed at me. And in the day, I think about it nonetheless. I should sleep. But my heart rate is so high. My fingers are shaking, actually. My boots are too tight. I kick them off. But that feels cold in the night. I think I hear something. No, I didn't. You must sleep. I cannot. My heart rate is so high. I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. You should tell Lumira. I'm not telling Lumira. Simon has such a lovely voice. Well, then you should work to keep it then.
And in Zion's voice, a song, a singing you've never heard him do. It's beautiful at first, and the sorrow of it sinks in. And then an echo of the death song from the glitching static of the dead radio. A lullaby singing you, no, the rest of your team, all of them, to the place where your sister went, toward oblivion.
No. Not again. I don't want to be left alone again. I'm a half, I can't be a quarter. I'm already a half, I cannot be a quarter. I'm already a half, I cannot be a quarter.
You toss and you turn and you turn and you toss until Zynon stops singing, until Lumira and Yinghe stop talking, until even the chattering tones of Lumira checking in on Zynon die down, and it's just the silence and the wind and the crackling fire. How long has it been? You're still not asleep. You are thinking and tossing and turning, and you think of the graves. The omen you received. Sunrise. Their mission. Fate's will. How they came, how they failed, how they died. Those graves, empty graves with nothing but their weapons left behind. You see them now. Nova's graves. Zynon's rifle. Buried deep inside the dirt. A single bullet left in its chamber. His hat hanging off of the gray rock of his tombstone. Lumira's pocket watch. The hand stuck on the moment of her death. Forever frozen in time. A deep fissure in her tombstone, cracked in exactly the same pattern as the golden rot eating her arm. Yinghe's tassel, shredded into pieces. The Rui symbol undone just as her fate was after choosing to travel with you, to trust in you. A Hua Dian painted on his tombstone with tears and moonlight and blood. Sing's longsword, buried in the darkness under eaves of the wild sea, burned on a funeral pyre in the city of heaven, drowned at the bottom of Inferno's river, laid to permanent rest in Kesseki, a cherry blossom on her headstone, flaking into dust. And you, the one who could not save them, the one who was left behind, broken, alone, forever. No one to turn to, nowhere to go. How could you? You are isolated from the only home you've ever known, from the Syndicate, from Artemis. Not even Artemis, the great huntress, can come here, can save you. And if they die here, when they die here, it will be your fault. Your fault, Omen Speaker. For not leading them out of their graves, for letting them succumb to the portent of death that you saw but did not enforce, and you will be alone.
No. I step out of my tent, I can't be here.
But you can't be around them. You can't look at them. When you look at them, you see their death. You see the graves.
This tent, it's choking me. The darkness, the emptiness in the sky, the void. There's nothing for me here. There's nothing for us here. But all I can do is move. Pace, feel the dirt beneath my feet, my toes. Feel the
Cortisol.
pain in my tail.
Stress. Fear. All
Red
of it.
light bathing my body and face.
You can't think about the fear too deeply. You can't think about where all of this is coming from. You can't allow yourself to indulge any of this. And you choose and you choose and you choose over and over again to push it aside, to just live in this jittering place, this reaction, this sheer, unadulterated stress. There is a shout of alarm. You recognize the voice. Yinghe.
There is no thought. Only kicking dirt beneath my feet. Heat rising up to my face. Sweat pouring down my back, my forehead, my shoulders. I feel the thrum in my antlers. A shaking, a heat. The heat of light, the heat of overworked electrodes. Feel it. My heart racing, but at least it's racing for something. I rush. There's only a rush. Faster. 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 Stone cutting the bottoms of my feet, dust filling my lungs, the choking of my breath in each breath, but I don't care. The heat of my antlers, the blood rushing in my body.
Seer. Because Sing is gone, and because she has been gone for a long time now, it is you that acts first. As always. You bull rush out of your tent and barrel across camp. Where are you looking?
I am not. My eyes are cast upon the ground. I don't think I even know I'm looking there. All I see is motion blur and the red rings of light that are burning hotter and hotter into my retinas. All I feel are the weight of my antlers as my head hangs low.
Seer, your eyes, your blue eyes now dull, now the color of dust, your antlers low, eyes not looking, not thinking, acting not on instinct or impulse or calling or training, but sheer fucking reactivity. Fear surges through your veins. Rage sings through your arteries. Your heart pummels against your ribs like a battering ram. You are not the little hunter. You are not the brother. You are not the bulwark. You are not the man who wields violence and patience. You are not even the son of doom in this moment. You do not look up, and you do not see the stranger that you kill. Your antlers punch into something solid next to Yinghua, but also strangely soft. There is a noise, twigs snapping, fruit rupturing. No, bones, flesh. And then something heavy on your horns as you pull yourself up to your full height. And something wet, hot, dripping down your face. What sensation rises through your fear and stays with you?
Warmth. Sticky, viscous warmth. Held together by the antlers of the harbinger. Blood courses down the antlers and I feel it, the heat and thickness of it entering my circuitry. I feel it, the gears turning in my head. It's realization forms in my mind of what has occurred, of the cost, of the thing I have done. I feel it in me, the blood. I feel the breath leave. When weight turns heavier, dead weight. When blood falls upon my eyes, I blink. They cover my eyelid, flowing past my cheek.
Though you do not know it yet, this moment will haunt you for the rest of your life. As it should. It will be a turning point, a compass arrow bleeding north as you make and unmake yourself. There is a body impaled on your antlers. It thrashes for a moment and then becomes very, very still. And this person who had startled Yinghe in the dead of night, the first person your strike team has come across since crash landing on Kesseki, a stranger whose name you will never know, is dead before they hit the ground.
I feel it more. Dust sloughing. I feel it more now. The sloughing. The squishiness. The wetness upon my antlers. The birth of a new thread upon my antlers as it dangles upon my face. With other things. Other terrible things. I feel it now, this heaviness upon me.
And what is the noise that we hear? Coming from your mouth, through the blood. We're gonna end the session there. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Arc 4, episodes 13 and 14. Let's do some much-deserved introductions, starting with Val.
Hello everyone. My name is Valiant Dorian. I use he him his pronouns. You can find me all across the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Otto Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I just set you on. Tonight, I played Sayer. Not the little omen, not the son of doom, not the little hunter, the harbinger of doom. I'm gonna pass it on to the cowboy of Haruna Valley.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kai. You can find me everywhere as Estelle Vimladris, and it's my sincere pleasure to play the father of Strike Team Nova tonight. I'll pass it on over to the hardest working healer recruiterist in the entirety of the journey.
Hey y'all. I'm Sam Star. I played Lumira. What the fuck? Oh yeah, you can follow me on where the butterflies are blue at. Y'all see it in the chat. Take us home, Connie.
It's me, Connie, taking us home. We're heading home, just like Nova is, to Haruna Valley. Yay! With that stream, we are back from our surprise medical hiatus. We hope that all of you have been enjoying all of the special episodes, community streams, and additional programming that we've been doing to fill the gaps. And we are very, very grateful to everyone's continued understanding and flexibility and support for these delays in the light of our producer and dramaturg's bone injury. We love you, C. We hope you continue to heal and recover and recuperate swiftly and painlessly. But, as this stream indicates, we are finally ready and raring to return to our regular schedule. So join us next week, Saturday, March 7th at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time, right here on Twitch and YouTube Live for the next installment of the Chaos Protocol. And it is one you certainly don't want to miss, because I have no idea what's going to happen. We're going to find out together. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Arc 4 stream, and I cannot wait to reveal even more about Kesseki and Nova as the season hundles onward. In the meantime, you can support our show by joining our Patreon, joining and participating in our Discord server, making fanworks if you're so inspired, posting about Transplaner on Blue Sky, Instagram, or Tumblr, rating our podcast, buying merch from our merch store, and most importantly, telling someone else about the channel. Your comrades, your companions, your lovers, your family, your friends, your siblings, your barista, your coworker, the journal that you write to about us, your blog platform, your enemy that may or may not be homoerotic, your toxic, situationship, your dog, your cat, your horse, your parakeet. Thank you all so much, Transplaners. We'll see you on Saturday, March 7th at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time. And in the meantime, we're going to be rating someone really awesome right now, no doubt. Most likely, honestly, like an animal stream to cool down from that. And we will Bijo.